The day I became the most reviled man in Rolling Plains, Texas, was the day I became its most unstoppable 400 odd. That's what Dolores Finch and her homeowners association hit me with for running a small windmill to power my ranch, a project I built with my daughter to honor her mother's memory. What they didn't know was that I had 6 million reasons to push back and enough resolve to outspin any turbine they tried to shut down. If you're watching this from your barn to skip those mind-numbing HOA meetings, drop a comment with your hideout. I'm Lucas Hargrove, and until 4 months ago, I was living what most would call a Texan dream. I'd spent 25 years as an aerospace engineer, designing propulsion systems for startups, before selling my patents for enough to retire at 47. But life doesn't care about your portfolio. My wife, Nora, lost her battle with breast cancer last year, leaving me to raise our 13-year-old daughter, Mia, alone. Grief was a relentless wind, tearing through us. Mia stopped sketching, her pencils untouched, and I was lost in memories of Nora's quiet brilliance. The only thing that steadied us was building together. Nora loved sustainable tech, and we'd crafted a small windmill as a family, its hum a lullaby before she slipped away. That sound was her echo in our hearts. So, when I needed a fresh start, I chose a 60-acre ranch in Rolling Plains, a wide-open community with strong schools, endless fields, and a 30-acre ridge, perfect for wind energy. The realtor raved about the sunsets but mentioned the HOA in passing. It's just for roads and aesthetics, she said, pausing before adding, Dolores Finch, the HOA president, is keen on maintaining standards. I'd faced corporate sharks. How bad could one small-town busybody be? I learned fast on a breezy September afternoon. Mia and I were at our windmill, a 15-foot tower near the ridge, its blades spinning smoothly to charge our solar batteries. Mia was beaming, tweaking a sensor, her first real smile in months, when a harsh voice cut through the air. What is this monstrosity? Dolores Finch stormed up, a stout, pot-bellied woman clutching a tablet, her face twisted like we'd built a scrap heap. Afternoon, I said, keeping my tone even. Just checking our windmill. I'm Lucas Hargrove. Moved in 2 months ago. I offered my hand. She ignored it, her fingers jabbing her tablet. Mr. Hargrove, wind turbines are prohibited within 300 feet of the community ridge. HOA violation. I'm Dolores Finch, president. The fine is 400. Mia's smile faded, her hands falling limp. There's a mistake, I said. Steady. The realtor said windmills were allowed, and this is our property. Dolores's smile was colder than a winter gust. The rule changed last month. All residents were emailed. I checked later, no email, not even in spam. Why the ban? I asked, pointing to the windmill. It's eco-friendly. Meets county codes. Her eyes flicked to the blades with a sneer. Visual pollution and noise ruining the ridge's scenic integrity. Not everyone wants to stare at your contraption while enjoying their sunset views. Her voice wasn't about aesthetics. It was disdain, like we were intruders in her pristine domain. Mia's eyes glistened, and I saw Nora's dream dim in her pain. This windmill was our anchor, a piece of her mother, and Dolores was tearing it down. We'll shut it down for now, I said, arm around Mia. Send me the fine and rules. Dolores smirked, victorious. Check your email. Mr. Hargrove, ignorance isn't an excuse. She marched off, her red blouse and black pants stark against the golden grass. Mia whispered, Dad, why's she so mean? It's just a windmill. I had no soft answer. Some people wield rules like weapons. Kiddo, I said, leading her inside. That night, sleep wouldn't come. Dolores's sneer, Mia's tears, they churned a storm inside me. I opened my laptop, diving into the HOA's world. Dolores ran Finch Properties, a real estate firm, thriving on Rolling Plains charm. Her social media flaunted Ridgeview open houses, some with windmills untouched by her visual pollution rules. A buried HOA clause caught my eye. The ridge was leased from Lone Star Land Co., not owned by the HOA, and the lease was expiring soon. This wasn't about standards, it was a power grab, and I was ready to turn her own winds against her. Ever been fined for something as harmless as a windmill? Stay tuned. This find spun a storm I was ready to unleash. Smash that like button and comment if your HOAs ever tried to shut down your dreams. Dolores Finch's $400 fine for our windmill wasn't just a petty jab. It was a calculated gust meant to blow us out of rolling plains. That night, as Mia slept, I sat under the hum of a desk lamp, laptop open, tearing into the HOA's secrets. What I uncovered wasn't just bureaucracy. It was a scheme to control the ridge, and I was ready to spin it against her. If you're sneaking this video in your tool shed to dodge another HOA tirade, comment your hideout below. This chapter's about to stir up a storm. Dolores had lorded over Rolling Plains for 12 years. Her real estate firm, Finch Properties, cashing in on the community's sweeping vistas. Her social media was a masterclass in hypocrisy photos of Ridgeview open houses, some featuring sleek windmills, captioned sustainable luxury. No fines for her, no citations for visual pollution or scenic disruption. The double standard burned, but a deeper dive into the HOA bylaws lit a spark. The 30-acre ridge, where our windmill stood close, wasn't HOA property. It was leased from Lone Star Land Co., a developer, and that lease expired in 3 months. Dolores's windmill ban wasn't about aesthetics. It was about clearing the ridge for her own gain. The next day, I met Rosa Delgado, a retired urban planner. While she tended her garden near my ranch, her wiry frame moved with purpose, her dark eyes sharp at 65. "Heard about your windmill fine," she said, brushing dirt from her gloves. "Dolores runs this place like her fiefdom." I shared the fine, Mia's heartbreak, and my hunch about the ridge. Rosa's lips tightened. She's after that ridge for Finch Properties, not the HOA. She wants luxury homes up there. Unobstructed views for big bucks. Over iced tea in her sunlit kitchen, Rosa handed me a stack of public records. "Lone Star's in financial trouble," she said. "They're selling assets fast. Dolores is circling, and your windmill's in her way." Rosa connected me with Jamal Carter, a mechanic who'd lived in Rolling Plains for a decade. Jamal, a broad-shouldered man in his 40s, met us in his garage, the air thick with motor oil. "Dolores has been fining me forever," he said, pulling up a spreadsheet on his phone. "My solar panels were too reflective. My truck too dusty. I get hit 4 times as often as her pals." His data was a revelation. Minority and new residents faced violations at quadruple the rate of Dolores's allies. Properties buried under fines often sold cheap to shell companies linked to Finch Properties. "She's not just enforcing rules," Jamal said, voice low. "She's pushing folks out to scoop up their land." Their stories echoed at our first coalition meeting, held in Rosa's living room under the glow of a single lamp. 8 residents crowded in, sharing tales over coffee. A librarian, Teresa Kim, described a $200 fine for excessive rooftop vents after she questioned an HOA budget. "My neighbor's vents are identical. No fine," she said, eyes flashing. A rancher, Miguel Ortiz, got cited for unapproved fence posts, despite using the same design as Dolores's friends. A nurse, Aisha Patel, faced fines for noisy chickens, while others' coops went untouched. Each tale revealed Dolores's tactic: target outsiders, pile on violations, and drive them to sell or into submission. We built a covert alliance, meeting in garages, haylofts, even a feed store's back room. Jamal set up an encrypted chat group, and within a week, 20 households joined, swapping violation notices and photos of Dolores's untouched windmills. I tapped my aerospace contacts to probe Finch Properties' finances. The firm was a house of cards, leveraged to the hilt, with loans against her listings, likely to fund her staged open houses and designer wardrobe. The ridge was her big play. Luxury homes could net millions, saving her from creditors. If it failed, she'd crash. I met Diego Salazar, a land broker with no loyalty to Dolores, at a diner, 35 miles out. "Lone Star's desperate," he said, sipping black coffee. Dolores offered $500,000 for the ridge. But her financing's a mess. Investors are skittish. They've given her a 90-day exclusive window, but a cash offer would trump her. My mind spun. With $6 million from my patent sales, I could outbid her, but we needed to bide our time. Rosa's voice echoed from our last meeting. Let her commit to her plan. Make it public. Then we strike. Our coalition grew, fueled by shared outrage. Dolores's windmill ban was a gust in a larger storm. 1. We were ready to redirect. I started sketching a strategy. One that would harness her own rules to unravel her. But first, I needed to map the full scope of her grip on rolling plains and find the leverage to break it. Dolores Finch thought her 400 fine would ground my windmill and my spirit. But she'd only fanned the winds of a fight she couldn't outrun. With our coalition of Rolling Plains residents growing, I saw a chance to not just resist, but to redirect her storm right back at her. If you're watching this from your pickup to dodge another HOA lecture, comment your hideout below. This chapter's about to whip up a gale. Our encrypted chat group hummed with defiance. Now 22 households strong. We shared violation notices like battle scars. $150 for unapproved garden trellises, $100 for excessive porch lights, even $75 for non-compliant mailbox decals. Jamal Carter's spreadsheets laid bare Dolores's playbook. Newcomers and minorities were fined 5 times more than her allies, forcing some to sell their ranches at a loss to her shell companies. Her real estate firm, Finch Properties, was a vulture, and the 30-acre ridge was her next prey. My aerospace fortune gave me the thrust to stop her, but we needed precision timing to make it hurt. I dove deeper into Dolores's finances, leveraging old industry contacts. Finch Properties was a mirage propped up by loans against her listings, likely to fund her staged open houses and red blouse swagger. The ridge deal was her lifeline. Without it, her creditors would swoop. Diego Salazar, my land broker ally, dropped a bombshell over tacos 40 miles from Rolling Plains. Lone Star Land Co. is bleeding, he said, voice low. Dolores offered $500,000 for the ridge, but her financing's shaky investors are bailing. They need cash now, and a better offer could snatch it. Saw my opening. With $6 million in the bank, I could outbid her with cash, but we had to let her overcommit first. Rosa Delgado, our coalition's strategist, laid it out in her garage, surrounded by old planning maps. Wait for her to push her ridge enhancement fee, she said, her eyes sharp. She'll tie her reputation to it. Then we pull the plug. Jamal nodded, his mechanic's hands steady. The more she bullies, the more folks will join us when we hit back. Dolores played right into our hands. At the next HOA meeting, she announced a $90 monthly assessment for ridge beautification, flashing renderings of luxury homes with unobstructed views. She didn't mention Finch Properties would handle the sales, but her jab at disruptive newcomers like me was clear. When Teresa Kim questioned the fee's cost, Dolores pounced. Kim, wasn't your library cited for tax issues? She said, voice syrupy with venom. Teresa's tax dispute was resolved years ago, but Dolores spun it like a scandal. Her intimidation misfired. 4 more households joined our coalition that night, pushing us to 26. I met Lone Star's VP, Carla Mendoza, in a plain office 50 miles away. Dolores's $500 is spread over 3 years, Carla said, her tone clipped. We're drowning and need cash fast. I leaned in. I'll offer $600,000, all cash, closing in 7 days. Her eyebrows shot up. That'll move the board. But Dolores has county connections. She'll fight dirty. I grinned. Let her try. Dolores cranked up the pressure. My ranch was buried in fines. $200 for unapproved solar panels, $125 for improper gravel paths, $80 for Mia's bike, left out. Rosa got cited for a non-compliant rose trellis, and Jamal for excessive garage tools. The worst blow landed when Mia came home crying, her sketchbook clutched tight. Kids at school called me a troublemaker, she sobbed. They said we're ruining the views. I traced it to Dolores's ally, Pamela Holt, who'd spread lies through her son's friends. The fight was now a wound on my daughter, and I nearly listed the ranch for sale. Rosa stopped me cold. She's driven out 5 families like this, she said, voice firm. You leave, she wins. And Mia learns bullies always do. She was right. Selling meant letting Dolores snuff out Nora's legacy. I doubled down, coordinating our coalition in secret rotating hideouts to evade Dolores's spies. We met in Miguel Ortiz's barn, Aisha Patel's kitchen, even a tractor shed. Each story of harassment stoked our resolve. When Diego confirmed the ridge's environmental assessment was clean, I knew we were close. Lone Star's board was ready to sign, and Dolores was oblivious. Her Plains Vista Gala, just days away, a perfect stage for her downfall. She was pouring her credibility into a showcase of her ridge vision. Unaware, I held the deed to her prize. We just had to keep our blades still until the moment to spin. Smash that subscribe button if your HOAs ever tried to crush your spirit like this. Dolores Finch's reign over rolling plains was about to crash like a turbine in a hurricane, and I held the controls. With the 30-acre ridge now mine, her luxury home scheme was dead in the wind, and I was ready to raise a tower she'd never forget. If you're watching this from your hayloft to skip another HOA rant, comment your hideout below. This chapter's where the blades spin wild. Our coalition had swelled to 30 households. A silent gale fed up with Dolores's fines and favoritism. Her $90 monthly ridge beautification fee had ignited fury, especially after her HOA meeting, where she flaunted renderings of ridgetop mansions. She pitched it as a community win. But we knew Finch Properties would rake in millions while blocking our access to the ridge. Her digs at troublemakers like me only sharpened our resolve. Rosa Delgado, Jamal Carter, and I kept my ridge purchase secret, using Hargrove Ventures LLC to hide my name. The deal closed 4 days before Dolores's Plains Vista Gala, a glitzy ridge showcase for her cronies, complete with model windmills. Her hypocrisy in full spin. I'd sealed the ridge with Lone Star Land Co. for $600,000, outbidding Dolores's flimsy $500,000 offer. Their VP, Carla Mendoza, had warned of Dolores's county allies, but my attorney confirmed the ridge was private land, free from HOA control once the lease expired in 20 days. Better still, the HOAs neglect chemical runoff from their fields tainting the ridge's groundwater gave me grounds to end the lease early. I hired an environmental consultant, whose tests showed elevated phosphates, exposing Dolores's scenic integrity as a lie. All was set for the gala, where I'd turn her triumph into a tailspin. Dolores hadn't eased up. My ranch was slammed with fines $250 for unapproved fence paint, $175 for excessive wild grasses, even $90 for Mia's kite stuck in a tree. Rosa got cited for a non-compliant porch swing, and Jamal for improper tire storage. The worst came when Mia, eyes red from school, said kids shunned her, echoing lies from Dolores's ally, Pamela Holt, about us wrecking the community. I wanted to confront Dolores, but Jamal's steady voice held me back. Wait for the gala, he said. She's building her own trap. The Plains Vista Gala was Dolores's spotlight. She'd strung up lanterns, catered brisket, and erected model windmills. Ironic for someone who fined me for one. About 60 of her loyalists sipped cocktails, while newcomers like me were snubbed. I arrived with Rosa, Jamal, my attorney, and a sheriff's deputy I'd briefed. As Dolores raised a flute, toasting our ridge's future, I stepped up, taking her microphone. Folks, there's a mix-up, I said, voice calm. As the new owner of this 30-acre ridge, I'm informing you, you're trespassing on private property. The crowd went silent. Dolores's face flushed purple. This is HOA land, she shrieked, grabbing for the microphone. I held steady, lifting the deed. It was Lone Star's, until I bought it 4 days ago. The HOA's lease ends in 20 days, but I'm terminating it now for environmental violations. I nodded to the deputy. You've got 10 minutes to clear out. Murmurs erupted. Dolores's eyes bulged. You can't do this. The community deserves this ridge. I smiled. Check the lease. Dolores, Officer Ramirez is here to keep it orderly. You love rules, don't you? The gala imploded. Guests fled, clutching their drinks, glaring at Dolores. She stood frozen as her model windmills were dismantled. By dawn, I'd installed no trespassing signs and hired a crew to erect a 50-foot windmill, county-approved, strategically placed to block the view from Dolores's showcase property. I held a press conference with the local paper, announcing Nora's rise. A kids' renewable energy program on the ridge. I shared the groundwater tests, exposing the HOA's chemical runoff phosphates and nitrates choking the soil, harming local wells. This ridge deserves better, I told reporters. We'll make it a hub for clean energy. Dolores sued, claiming public detriment. But my deed and lease termination crushed her case. She tried new fines against me, $300 for unapproved ridge signage, $200 for excessive construction noise. But residents were waking up. At the next HOA meeting, Aisha Patel stood, voice firm. Dolores spent $70,000 on a viewing platform for her allies' ranches, while our roads crumbled. Who's she serving? The crowd nodded. An audit motion passed, and rumors of Dolores's luxury home scheme spread, eroding her support. Our coalition hit 38 households, and the winds were shifting fast. Dolores Finch's empire was stalling out, and the ridge I'd claimed was now Nora's rise, a testament to resilience in rolling plains. Her $400 fine for our windmill had spun a rebellion, and as her schemes unraveled, our community found its strength. If you're watching this from your tractor cab, dodging another HOA lecture, comment your hideout below. This final chapter's about renewal, and it's gonna power up your screen. The Plains Vista Gala's collapse left Dolores reeling. Her lawsuit against me for public detriment crashed when my attorney presented the ridge deed and proof of the HOA's expired lease. She tried doubling down, slapping me with fines for unapproved windmill blades, $350, and excessive ridge fencing, $225. But her control was slipping. Aisha Patel's call for an audit at the HOA meeting had broken the dam. The vote passed, and whispers of Dolores's luxury home scheme spread like prairie dust. Our coalition, now 42 households, shared Jamal Carter's data on discriminatory fines, pinning it to the community board. Teresa Kim posted side-by-side photos of her excessive vents and Dolores's allies' identical setups, captioned, "Justice." The audit uncovered a mess, $80, and funneled to a ridge overlook for Finch Properties clients, $25. Sending consulting fees to Dolores's cousin. Residents demanded accountability, and her allies began to scatter. Dolores's desperation peaked one windy night. My ridge cameras caught her and her crony, Pamela Holt, trespassing, tampering with the new windmill's base, spraying a corrosive liquid to weaken it. I sent the footage to the sheriff. Tests confirmed it was an industrial solvent, meant to sabotage Nora's rise and frame me for safety violations. Dolores was charged with criminal trespassing and property damage, as she was booked. Investigators probed HOA finances, finding diverted funds, selective enforcement, and evidence she'd manipulated property sales for Finch Properties. Civil lawsuits from harassed residents mounted, and her real estate firm faced bankruptcy. I seized the moment to reshape Rolling Plains. I invited all residents except HOA leadership to a meeting in my barn, packed with 50 households under lantern light. I outlined my plan: transfer Nora's rise to a community trust, but with strings. First, the HOA needed new leadership with term limits and open elections. Second, all rules would be audited for fairness. Third, an ethics board would rotate yearly. Then I dropped a turbine-sized bomb. Using my aerospace contacts, I said, I've bought mortgage notes on 20% of Rolling Plains properties, including Dolores's. The crowd gasped. With Jamal's banking connections, I'd targeted her allies' debt. I won't foreclose, I said, but I'll offer low-rate refinancing after we reform this HOA. The vote to overhaul the HOA was unanimous. Dolores resigned, facing charges and lawsuits. Pamela Holt quit the board when I announced free wind and solar workshops for kids at Nora's Rise, excluding HOA leaders' families until they stepped down. 3 more board members bailed, citing family obligations. Rosa Delgado, the retired planner who'd mapped our strategy, was elected president, vowing transparency. She led a rule purge, axing absurd clauses like maximum vent reflectivity. The windmill ban was scrapped, replaced with eco-friendly guidelines. Dolores's last gasp was a smear, claiming Nora's Rise was a hazardous eyesore. I countered with public groundwater tests showing cleaner wells than under HOA neglect, thanks to my filtration efforts. Her final ploy came when she offered Teresa Kim a dropped fine to undermine me. Teresa recorded it. "I can make your violations vanish." Dolores's voice hissed. "Just push Hargrove on Windmill risks." Teresa shared it in our chat group, and the clip went viral locally. "She's done," Rosa said, grinning. 6 months later, Mia and I hosted a windmill festival at Nora's Rise. Families gathered, kids building mini turbines, parents swapping stories across old divides. Mia, glowing, taught a group to wire a solar panel. "Mom would be proud," she said, her sketchbook open to a drawing of our giant windmill. I nodded, feeling Nora's spirit in the breeze. The Ridge, once Dolores's prize, was now a hub for clean energy, protected by the community trust. Rolling Plains became a beacon for HOA reform, with nearby towns adopting our ethics code. Dolores fled, her ranch sold at a loss. Tainted by her legacy, I was urged to run for county council after the mayor, her ally, resigned amid scrutiny, but I passed. Instead, I launched a scholarship in Nora's name for kids pursuing STEM, honoring her dream of a greener world. As Mia and I watched the festival's turbines spin under a golden dusk, the horizon felt open. Justice wasn't about toppling Dolores. It was about powering a community forward. We'd turned her storm into a new dawn, proving a $400 fine could spark a revolution. This story started with a $400 fine, but it's about more than a windmill. It's about fighting for what matters. Dolores tried to crush us, but she underestimated a father, a daughter, and a community united for Nora's memory. Nora's Rise shows bullies lose when you outsmart their rules and strike with precision. If you're facing your own HOA tyrant, dig deep, find ally, and hold fast. Your stand, big or small, can shift the winds. Share this to inspire others. And let's prove that even one spark can power a brighter future. Comment below with your HOA battles, or how you'd use a windmill to stick it to a bully. Keep the momentum spinning,